This is a poem about fear, from the ephemeral phantoms of childhood to the specters that loom large over lifetimes, becoming haunting realities for far too many. If you feel you may be triggered, please do not listen to this. Oleander Halloween by Solar Santa Ea. Dogs are poisoned in our neighborhood by the men from the apartments down the hill, the ones that jutted from the concrete like fangs in a mouth long dead but still longing to bite, while our duplexes crouched like the fire-bellied toads we kept as pets before they calcified in the sand. They were the kind of men our mothers told us never to talk to and never take candy from, even on Halloween, because men like that, they said, were haunted all year round. They poisoned them with oleanders, the men, the dogs. With the reddish-pink blossoms I would grind into dust with a stone until my mother screamed. I heard her mutter as the screen door squealed and the flies buzzed around the rabbit cage. I should make you eat one so you'd never forget. Her voice was quieter than the whispering ants buried themselves in the limp-grayed bird we once found dead in the yard. When I cried, my mother held me and whispered the bird would come back as an angel. My white wings molted Halloween night as I shouted my mother, my hand held out in front of me like a leash as her white fingers gripped my wrist like a haunted house skeleton, so I wouldn't get lost in the crowd. My feathers trailed through streets of wedding cake houses in a better neighborhood where witches smiled over candy cauldrons. A sweet little angel, couldn't I just eat you up? I hid behind my mother's back as one woman laughed and laughed and let her in to use the bathroom while I waited in the doorway in darkness and watched as my mother glanced at a crystal vase with a grin scarier than any mask and tore a single rose from its slender stem and slid it in her purse. When the night surrounded us at home, she tucked the rose behind my ear and whispered, "Trick or treat." The rustle of petals woke me from dreams of feathers, blood, and feathers, leaving a trail to our house, to my room, to my hair and its burden of one stolen rose embedded by thorns in my ear. I felt it breathing there, warm, a breath of summer wind. I buried it in the yard to grow again. I waited hours in the dark, shivering beneath the sunless sky as the purple tangle of Halloween lights around our windows glinted down like mocking stars through my tears. I pulled a light from its socket and flung it over the wall where the fall was so steep you would break and never rise. It shattered. The piercing song of broken glass, the rasping of a dying rose, sobs my own, thick and hot in my throat, kept me turning wide awake until I writhed from the blankets like a caterpillar mistaking its skin for the chrysalis, and ran down the hill and ran down, down, down to the concrete where apartment complexes blocked out the stars, and I searched for glass shards on my hands and my knees, and a man in a costume held out candy in his palm and whispered, "Trick or treat." Let's say that it was reddish pink or the glossy green of leaves, and my tongue turned to sugar and fell right out of my mouth. Let's say it was my mother feeding me light bulbs so I wouldn't forget, and the broken glass turning round in my stomach cut me open. Let's say I was a rabbit cage, a fossil toad, a swarm of ants, a poison bush that bloomed from spite and bore no nectar. Let's say a rose can be revived from its petals and shattered lights can shine again if you could just collect the shards, and all the dead birds will rise as angels whose white wings never molt. Let's say I took one taste and died like a dog. Some memories can only be sweetened with poison.